Hello everyone, this is Flopjack again. This is my Zerg video. In the first video I did Terran basics and Starcraft 2 basics in general. So I'm going to try to catch some of the things that I may have forgotten in terms of general Starcraft, but I get a lot of Zerg stuff today. In addition to having cool music and slimy units, we've got, well, you got a lot of cool toys to mess with. So, yeah, Zerg and upgrades. I'm going to explain that today. This video is for basically the basics of StarCraft. Like I said, there's a lot of new people, and hopefully this will clear up some simple things to use. Because, like I mentioned earlier, new RTS is difficult to learn. People can stay on a low skill level for a long time. It takes weeks and months to learn some of the tricks of the trade, so to speak. So this will hopefully clear some things up. We're going to take a look at the Zerg repertoire here. I'm sure we've all heard of the Zergling. It's people even out of StarCraft know what the Zergling is, or being Zerged, or different terms like that. But essentially, unlike Terran, Zerg has a number of melee units or close-range combat units. Zergling being the most simplest and primary one, the cheapest, probably the most cost-effective ground unit in the game. There's a lot of tricks with this unit that you may have heard of called like getting the surround or Zerg rushing, and just lots of interesting things you can do with this unit. This unit is particularly special because they come two to an egg. Zerg hatches all of their units from an egg, which comes from either a hatchery, a lair, or a hive, which is the same structure being upgraded each level. That's how the Zerg tech tree works. If you want to, you guys can go in the tech tree, look at stuff there, but I'm not going to do that right now. Anyway, so yeah, the Zerg units all come from the same building, whereas Terran produces infantry from the barracks and vehicles from the factory and spaceships from the starport. Zerg all come from eggs, so every one of their units come from an egg in one of those buildings. And the Zergling, or the Ling for short, it comes two to an egg, which is the only unit that does that. So it costs 50 minerals, and you get both Zerglings. And up here, it only takes one army supply to host both of these. And of course, the Zergling can turn into a Baneling, which is the respective building for that. And this is a per unit upgrade, so it's not like you click on Banelings and then all your Zerglings are turned into Banelings, because they function completely differently. Because once a Baneling is hatched and ready to go, it turns into a suicide unit. And when sometimes you see them kind of rolling, that means they have a speed upgrade, so there's a kind of visual difference there. The Baneling will only damage enemy units, and it blows up like that, and that's basically what happens to it. So it has a bonus against structures. Anyway, so that's the Zergling. They're pretty quick. And yeah, so here we have the Roach. It's a ranged unit. It has a high regeneration and high armor value. It kind of has a small range, not very much. These are Hydralisks. They have a much longer range. They can also hit air, whereas the Roaches cannot. So you can see kind of the range difference there. What's unique about the Roach, though, is it does have a high regeneration. All Zerg units regenerate health, and we'll kind of see that right now. I'm going to shoot this Zergling right here, and he's missing some health. But you see it's kind of come back. There's 23, there's 24, and other races don't do that. The Protoss shields do regenerate, but their health is not. But a Roach, a Zerg, on the other hand, regenerate their entire health. So we hit this guy a few times. You can see his health generating much faster than the Zergling. That's what makes him special. But also when you burrow him, I'll hit him a few more times here. When you burrow him, he regenerates even quicker. In fact, it's like frighteningly fast. So, of course, we went over hotkeys earlier, and W is burrow. So you press W to go in, then W to go down. What's also unique about burrowing is that is the Zerg's version of cloaking. So we saw the Banshee on Terran, and there's other units in Protoss that can cloak. It means you have to have a detector around. The same with the Zerg. And the Roach is one of the few units that can also move while burrowed. So it's kind of like you're cloaking, moving around, do some sneaky stuff, come up on an enemy, and you attack a little bit, retreat, do your Roach thing. Another unit that can do that also is the Infestor, this little fat, nasty slug thing right here, leaving a trail of awesome behind his butt. And he can also burrow and move pretty quickly too. In addition to that, he has some spells. You can spawn an infested Terran, pressing T and clicking the spot where you want it to go. These eggs will sit there for a little bit and hatch, get infested Terran. Infested Terran have 50 HP and they deal 5 damage. They're not very strong, they're not very fast, but it's basically a free unit. They have a time life. You're going to see they'll die here in a second. So anyway, and the other two things it can do is Neuroparasite, which I can't show you, but it possesses an enemy unit for 10 seconds. And the last thing is called Fungal Growth, and it makes kind of like this area, about this large. And when it hits enemies, it will ensnare them. They can't move, and they take a little bit of damage. So that's the units with the Infestor. It's a tier 2 caster. So we got those units. These little guys out of the way. So we have some flying units here. Right here is, I don't know if I have one building I did not get actually. Do real quick to show you one of the end game units. Here we have the Ultralisk. It's the basic flyer for Zerg. Very quick. It's very fast and quick, but it's light. Doesn't have a lot of armor, but it is pretty cheap compared to other flyers. What's unique about its shot is, and I won't be able to show it to you. It fires, whatever. It deals 9 damage. But what's unique about it is that it will hit the first target. And then if you have other enemies around that target, so just say that these are enemies right here, so what you'll see is it will hit this guy, then it will come and hit this guy, then it will come and hit this guy up to 3 times, and each time it divides the damage into a third, so it goes 9, 3, 1, 9, 3, 1, each time they attack. So you take something like that, and then you multiply it by, a large number of these flyers, and you can rack up damage really quickly. So what's really unique about these flyers is that they're fast, and they have pretty good damage output against air and ground. They can attack air and ground. And it makes for dicey situations for your opponent, so they're pretty intimidating too. And the Corruptor is another Zerg flyer. This is air-to-air combat only. I have not seen this in action yet, and I can't test it, but this ability apparently disables buildings, kind of coughs up slime all over it, and that's pretty self-explanatory. But what's unique about this is it can only attack air-to-air, and I can't show you this either, but when it kills an enemy, it will turn this enemy into kind of like a stationary turret. And so you're coming up, and let's say this is your group of Terran Vikings or whatever, and you're fighting all these Corruptors, and your Vikings start turning into these nasty purple turret things, and it gets really dicey. So it's best just to run away. You got to make up new straps to fight it. It's good for the Zerg player because it just makes it more hard for the opponent, gives him more micro to deal with. But anyway, so that's the Zerg flyers. We will get to see the Broodlord too. I'm gonna make him real fast. That's the last Zerg flyer. Here we have the Overlord. This is similar to Medevac and the Supply Depot at the same time. This provides the army supply. Each one is worth 8, just like the Supply Depot. But like the Medevac, it can also transport units. So we can take our Hydralisk here and throw them inside there. It works the same way. You can unload them and take them wherever you want. So it works the same way. And it can also dump creep. You hit there and just dump creep. And it has to be stopped. So you just hit. It's basically got a creep mode or a not generate creep mode. And in the generate creep mode, every time it moves and then stops, it would just start producing creep. It doesn't cost any energy, it doesn't cost any minerals or anything. I don't know why you wouldn't have it on all the time, to be honest, unless you don't want to bog your computer down. But anyway, yeah, it's just C to turn it off and G to turn it back on. So that's how that works. And these units, Overlords can also upgrade to an Overseer. An Overseer is Zerg's mobile detector. It's kind of tricky. In the first Starcraft, all Overlords were detectors, but not anymore. It's only the Overseers now. In addition to being a little quicker, I think. No, maybe not. Let's find out. A little faster, looks like. He can spawn what's called a Changeling. And a Changeling looks like this nasty pile of crap right here. And when this guy moves into enemy territory, and he comes in contact with an enemy unit, he will turn into that unit. So it will, to your opponent, it will look like a Marine or a Zealot or something that he comes into contact with. I think it might be only basic units, but I'm not sure. He only has 5 health, so he has a time life, and if they find out that he's there, they can kill him real fast. So it's a good scouting tool, kind of interesting to do. Let's see, the last 2 units, we get the Ultralisk here. This guy is pretty self-explanatory by looking at him. He's a huge battering ram, does lots of damage to small units like Zerglings and Zealots and Marines and stuff, and he does extra damage to buildings by headbutting them. Yeah, and of course, to mention that all ground units for Zerg can burrow. So you can grab all your units, hit W, they're just going to start burrowing. Even the freaking Ultralisks can get down there and move. Not get down there and move. Only the Roach and the Infestor can move, I think, when burrowed. But Ultralisks can burrow in a very silly manner, but yet very effective. So, we got 2 more units here. We got the Queen here. The Queen is called a defensive unit. It's not something you want to take into combat very often. Outside the creep, it's kind of pathetic and slow and stuff. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but the important thing with the Queen is the spells that it can do. And the first thing that it can do, probably the most important, is the Zerg macro mechanic, which is spawn larvae here. And the way you use it is you basically grab your Queen, you hit R, and you're going to left-click a hatchery of yours. And this will create these little egg things right here. And after 40 seconds, they're gonna hatch into additional larvae. So you can kind of breach the cap of 3 larvae. But while there are more than 3 larvae, while there are 3 or more larvae on a hatchery, more larvae will not spawn. So you kind of have to use them, basically when they're done, in order to make it worth it. And you can, just like any other unit, you can just start creating units from that dude or whatever. So that's how that works.